ever considered waitressing or waitering, serving? A couple of you? Okay, well, it's good to know. According to Leeming 2009, research shows that employment of waiters and waitresses will increase 11% within the 2006-2016 decade, so it is already in process. Now I've been in the restaurant industry for about 3 years, and I've been a waitress for about 2 years. Being a strong server will not only bring you good tips, but it will also help you run a successful business. So by the end of my presentation, you guys are going to know a couple handy tips to learn to become a strong server. I'm going to be covering being prepared to work, having a good attitude in customer service, knowing what's necessary for your shift, and being aware of your surroundings. So to begin, I would like to start off with being ready to work. First thing is that you're always going to want to be on time when you're a server. And it's not only just because it's professional, it's because you're going to want to have consideration for your other servers. Now what I mean by having consideration is, let's say you have a 3 o'clock shift. You want to be there at 3 o'clock. If you come in 15 minutes late, you're normally going to be relieving somebody from a prior shift. So if you come in at 3:15 and a table comes in at 3:05, the person who's working the earlier shift is going to be obligated to take that table. They're not going to sit around and wait for you to show up. So that's going to cause the previous server to have to stay an additional 30 minutes to even up to an hour, and they're not going to be too happy with you. So you're going to want to be considerate of your other employees. You're also going to want to have your full uniform, all the way up from your name tag to the proper shoes, to your bright colored socks. You got to wear black socks. Don't come in wearing white socks and you bend down and you're going to see your white socks. You want to have everything to the T. Have your uniform ironed and make yourself looking professional. You're also going to want to have the necessary tools. Now, being a server, you're going to need a couple items. So one thing you're going to need is your apron. This is my apron. See, it's a little dirty, but get your apron on. And not only are you going to need your apron, but you're going to need your serving book. This is a serving book right here. And inside the serving book, you're going to have your paper where you take your orders, a nice little pocket for your tips, and then also another additional pocket for your receipts, like your tables, tickets. You're also going to need a pen, and you're going to need, I'd suggest to have at least 2 pens, because pens can go out of ink, and you could be taking an order, your pen runs out of ink, and you're going to be like, oh, kind of panic, so you want to have a backup. Not only is being ready to work important, but having a good attitude in customer service is also highly necessary. So I have a quote here from an article I read, Serves Us Right, 2009, and it's coming from a customer who has had a couple bad experiences at a restaurant, and he states, "We have all suffered injuries at the hand of a waiter. The ill-mannered drone who forgets the lemon, disappears when you need him, overfills your glass, takes the plate while you're still eating from it, and wonders if we need change for that $100 bill." So this person obviously had a bad experience with their server. So to prevent things like this, you're going to want to always check on your tables at least 2 times. Don't just go to your table, take the order, drop off the food, and forget about them, disappear. You're going to want to make sure their needs are fulfilled. What I mean by that is make sure they have their drinks, make sure their meal is cooked properly, have napkins if they want extra ketchup, anything along condiment-wise. And you're always going to want to appear to be happy, have a smile on your face. If you're having a bad day, don't let it show, because nobody wants to go to a restaurant and have a pissed-off waiter. You want to be smiling and pretend to be in a good mood even if you're not. Because according to Jackie Miller, 2006, she states, "One key of providing good service is to be happy." So if you're happy, you're most likely going to give some pretty good service. Also, you're going to want to try to start up some conversations with your tables. Ask them, you don't want to get too personal, just how you doing today, any plans for the weekend, just so they feel engaged with you and they don't feel that you're just some person giving them food. You want to make them feel comfortable. Now, having a good attitude and being ready to work are not the only components of being a strong employee. You're also going to want to need to know the necessary information for your shift. So, knowing the necessary information for your shift will help benefit you while you're working. When you start your shift, you're going to want to find out what the soup is of the day, what the vegetable of the day is, and also if there's any specials. Knowing the soup and the vegetable is pretty necessary, because when you go to a table and if you haven't been informed of the soup yet and they ask you what your soup is, you're either going to have to leave the table to go see, or you're going to have to put your head over your shoulder and ask somebody who's walking by, like, hey, what's the soup today? It's not going to look too professional. Your table's going to think, oh, she doesn't know what she or he doesn't know what they're doing, or they're not prepared. You're also going to need to find out your section. Some of you guys might not know what a section is, so I'm going to go ahead and explain that. Every restaurant has a certain amount of tables, and each server is designated to a certain amount of tables in a certain area of the restaurant. So let's say there's 30 tables in the restaurant, and there's 4 servers. You're going to divide up the tables equally, so each server gets designated a section. You don't want to just go in and take a table and if it's not in your section, because the other server you're taking their money, and they're not going to be happy. And plus, you're going to have to end up in a different section, and it gets kind of hard to run from table to table in different sections. And being aware of your surroundings is also important. It's just as important as knowing the necessary information for your shift. So while you're working your shift, you're always going to need to know when it is and isn't okay to do certain things. So if you're not at a table taking an order, you're going to want to stay busy, especially if your manager's around. You're going to want to be cleaning, restocking. If tables need more ketchup, or if you need silverware for your tables, roll some silverware clean. Don't just stand around. When a new table comes in, always welcome them, take them to their seat, offer them any drinks. You want to make them feel comfortable. And when a table is leaving, always say goodbye with a smile. See you next time. Give them a lasting impression of your restaurant. Don't just let them walk out, because they're going to kind of feel that nobody really cares about them. You want to make them feel comfortable. So if you're considering a position in serving, or like the research said earlier that I mentioned, that there is going to be an increase in employment and serving, you might want to take in consideration the key elements that I gave you, which was being ready to work, having a good attitude in customer service, being aware of your surroundings, and knowing what's necessary for your shift. And these will all help benefit you to get stronger tips and to help run a successful business. So like I mentioned before, you're always going to want to say thank you to your guests. So thank you.